Everyone looked towards the place where the loud noise came from, and found that it was the sound made by Li Qingyue hitting the metal wall. Li Qingyue actually punched a mark on the metal wall which was about 50 centimeters thick. "Ed, what's wrong with you?" Jill asked cautiously. "It's not me, it's you. It seems you've all fallen into Loki's trap. He wants you to capture him and take him aboard the aerospace carrier. By the way, when you captured him, did he have any weapons with him?" "There's a scepter right over there." Tony pointed in a direction and said. Li Qingyue looked in the direction Tony pointed and saw a scepter placed on the table, surrounded by countless electronic tentacles scanning and analyzing it. "Do you know what this is?" "What?" "You were all affected by the mind scepter just now. You became irritable. If you hadn't stopped it, you would have already started fighting." "Does it have such power?" "Jarvis is monitoring it the whole time. Apart from emitting gamma energy all the time, it has nothing else." "How does it affect us?" Tony asked. "I just mentioned its name, the psychic scepter. It's not hard to see that its function is to target the mind, so it's not hard for it to affect your mood and cause you to be irritable. So now you need to adjust your mindset. If you really can't, just keep quiet. Do you understand?" Everyone nodded and found a place to sit down. They seemed to be really afraid of being disturbed, so no one spoke. They were either playing with the toys in their hands, or taking out their phones to watch videos, or doing other things. In short, no one spoke. After an unknown amount of time, Tony couldn't stand the depressing atmosphere any longer, so he was the first to leave and went outside to get some fresh air. Dr. Banner also left quickly upon seeing this, fearing that he would be transformed by the mind scepter. You know, the damage caused by his transformation would be incalculable. "Director, I'll go see if I can get some information out of you." "Go ahead, but be careful. After all, he is the god of trickery." "Yes, Chief." Natasha then left, and the others also found various reasons to leave the meeting room where the mind scepter was located. Soon, only Li Qingyue and his group and Director Fury were left there. Li Qingyue came to the scepter and was about to reach out to touch the scepter of mind when Jill grabbed his arm and shook her head slightly at him. The fear in her eyes forced Li Qingyue to hug her to comfort her. "Don't touch it, okay?" "It's okay. Actually, there's one thing I haven't told them. There's a gem inside, the Mind Gem, one of the Infinity Stones created at the beginning of the Big Bang. It doesn't belong to anyone. Do you understand me?" "I understand, but I don't want you to take risks," Jill said, leaning against Li Qingyue's chest. "Okay, I'll listen to you." Li Qingyue patted Jill's back gently and said, but they all underestimated the horror of the Mind Scepter. Dr. Banner stood in a room only a wall away from the deck, looking at the endless white clouds, and suddenly became irritated. He didn't know why the voices of the nearby SHIELD discussions all entered his ears, which made him even more irritated. At the same time, the bracelet on his wrist was issuing a rapid alarm. "Dr. Banner, are you okay?" Steve walked in at this time and saw Dr. Banner hunched over with his hands on the table. "Captain, hurry up and find Thor. I can't hold on any longer." "What can't you hold on to?" Steve asked in confusion. Dr. Banner raised his head and said with a helpless and wry smile, "I'm sorry, Captain." The next moment his body turned green and gradually grew larger. Steve cursed as he thought of something and rushed out, shouting, "Hurry up, Hulk is out, find Thor." When the walking SHIELD agents heard this, they immediately felt that something was wrong. You know, they are now 10,000 meters in the air. If something is destroyed by Hulk, they will probably be in trouble. So the agents ran to find Thor like crazy, and soon they found Thor. They immediately informed him that Hulk had come out. Thor immediately ran towards the deck. As soon as he ran over, he saw Hulk smashing things crazily. Without saying a word, he knocked him out with a hammer. "Thor, we can't leave it on the aerospace carrier. Take it to a sparsely populated area and let it turn back into Dr. Banner." Steve shouted loudly against the strong wind. "Will he die if he falls from here?" "No, just do it." Knowing that Hulk would be fine if he fell from this height, Thor let go completely. Looking at the Hulk rushing towards him, Thor grabbed the belt at the end of Thor's hammer and kept turning it, intending to wait until Hulk got close to him and knock him away directly. But Hulk just has a low IQ, but he is not a fool. He also understands Thor's thoughts, so when he was about to get 3 meters away from Thor, he suddenly stopped, squatted on one knee and clapped his hands. A gust of wind blew Thor away. You can imagine how powerful this wind was. Hulk originally planned to pursue the victory, but when he saw Li Qingyue, he immediately rushed towards him with a roar. Seeing this, Li Qingyue could only wrestle with him. "Hulk, wake up." Lee Qingyue shouted as he punched Hulk on the head. Hulk shook his head, staring at Lee Qingyue with bloodshot eyes, and unknowingly threw another punch. Lee Qingyue swallowed his saliva, because he clearly felt the terrifying aura coming from Hulk, which was definitely not something he could deal with at the moment. At this moment, Thor finally ran back and knocked Hulk out of the aerospace carrier with a hammer. "Thanks, brother. I'll go take care of him first. Go early and come back early." Lee Qingyue waved his hand, and the danger to Hulk was lifted, but this did not mean that the crisis was over, because a large number of Quinjet fighters appeared around the aerospace aircraft carrier and surrounded them tightly. "It's Hawkeye. Try to capture him alive if possible." Director Fury gave the order immediately, but they seemed to have forgotten Hawkeye's ability. The controlled Hawkeye fired 2 explosive arrows directly at the 2 turbines. The explosion caused the 2 turbines to temporarily lose control, and the aerospace aircraft carrier immediately tilted. Not only that, Hawkeye also came to the top of the control room. After the SHIELD agents were attracted by the mercenaries he found, he immediately shot a USB arrow at the console. There was a virus stored in the USB flash drive. This virus can paralyze the entire aerospace carrier's control in a very short period of time, causing it to free fall. Although other agents in the control room discovered something was wrong, the virus had already been uploaded, and even if Jarvis took action, it would take almost several hours to remove the virus. Not to mention that the 2 vortexes of the aerospace carrier are now out of order. Tony can only go with Steve to repair the turbines and try to get them started. Even if the power is insufficient, it is better than free falling from the air. While everyone was working hard to restore the aerospace carrier, Hawkeye had already rescued Loki. "Is everything ready?" "It's ready and can be started at any time." "Well, it's time to welcome your king," Loki said loudly with his hands raised high, and then left on the spaceship. In the Atlantic Ocean, the aerospace carrier was forced to make an emergency landing. Looking at the distant coastline, Director Fury said helplessly, "We can only rely on you from now on. The aerospace carrier has completely stopped operating. It will take another 4 hours to eliminate the virus." Honestly, Hawkeye is worthy of being a tactical master. His offensives are one after another. With only a few lives sacrificed, he can stop the entire aerospace aircraft carrier. Lee Qingyue exclaimed. Although this was a compliment to Hawkeye, Director Fury always felt that Lee Qingyue was referring to them in some way. "My armor is damaged now. I need to go back and replace it. Is your spaceship still usable?" Tony asked. His armor was caught in the turbine while he was repairing it, resulting in most of the flying parts being damaged. Now the armor can only fly with 1 hand and 1 foot. I don't think that's necessary," Lee Qingyue said, looking towards New York City. "What do you mean?" Tony asked, confused. "Tony, look." Steve also spoke up, and Tony felt something was wrong. He turned around and looked, only to see a beam of blue light shooting up into the sky, forming a huge vortex in the air, with a large number of Chitauri soldiers pouring into the other side of the vortex. "We're finally here, Constantine. It's time to get to work." Lee Qingyue clapped his hands and said after attracting everyone's attention. Constantine nodded, then opened the portal. Everyone went straight through the portal and arrived at the bottom of Stark Tower. Looking at the blue beam of light emitted from his own building, Tony wanted to rush up, but was stopped by Lee Qingyue. "Are you crazy? Your armor is in this state. Are you sure you can be a match for Loki?" "You're right, Jarvis is controlling the latest model of Mark armor," Tony said directly. After a while, a set of armor flew down from the sky, and Tony immediately changed into the new armor. At this time, the Zetacean soldiers began to attack ordinary humans. "Boss, I'm going to earn some points," Constantine said and ran away. Steve looked at the Chitauri soldiers all over the sky and began to give orders, asking everyone to evacuate the crowd first, and then deal with the Chitauri soldiers and close the portal. But when Steve was about to command Lee Qingyue and the others, he found that Lee Qingyue and the others had disappeared. "Don't look at them. Their mission is different from ours. Their mission is to kill the Chitauri soldiers. You know their character. They will only complete their commissions. As for tasks that are not within their commissions, they will not pay attention to them." "I know, it's just a little hopeful." Steve sighed. "Okay, stop sighing. The subway next door is packed with people. The Chitauri soldiers have already gone there. I'll go help first," Tony said and then left. Steve and the others put aside their other thoughts and began to concentrate on cooperating with the police to evacuate the crowd. Natasha came to a school. At this time, the Chitauri soldiers were frantically looking for humans and wanted to kill them, but unfortunately Natasha arrived and killed them directly with her shooting skills. But the gunshots also attracted a large number of Chitauri soldiers. Natasha was the only one here. She looked at the overwhelming Chitauri soldiers and swallowed. At this moment, gunshots rang out. Natasha turned around and found that the people coming were Richard and Jill. "Natasha, we are here to help," Jill said to Natasha with a smile, tilting his head slightly. "Why are you here?" "What is our commission?" "It's to kill aliens, so there's no problem with appearing here," Jill replied. "Hawkeye is here," Richard suddenly said, raising his gun and shooting. The bullet hit the explosive arrow shot by Hawkeye, causing it to explode in the air. "I'll deal with Hawkeye. You guys can take care of the aliens." After Natasha finished speaking, she ran towards Hawkeye in the distance. Richard and Jill shot at the Chitauri soldiers in the air. Although they were holding laser weapons, the armor on their bodies could not even defend against bullets. It was really a bit disappointing. With the two men's almost sharpshooting skills, they quickly cleared out the group of Chitauri soldiers. Then Jill brought a group of students to the army. With their help, the students safely evacuated New York City. On the other side, the battle between Natasha and Hawkeye has entered a white-hot stage. The combat capabilities of the two are almost the same, and neither can do anything to the other in a short time until Richard appears. He shoots at the billboard above the two of them. The bullet directly shatters the screws, and the billboard falls down. Natasha seized the opportunity and kicked Hawkeye away. The billboard hit Hawkeye hard and knocked him unconscious. "Are you okay?" Natasha walked over, touched Richard's head and said with a smile, "It's okay." "Don't touch my head," Richard said unhappily, and Natasha couldn't help laughing when she heard it. At this time, Hawkeye made a sound and opened his eyes. Richard immediately pointed the gun at him, and Natasha hurried to stop him. "Clint is just being controlled. All we need to do is release him." But Richard did not put down the gun and still pointed it at Hawkeye. "Natasha, I'm fine. The control has been released," Patton said. "How do we know if you've truly released the control?" "Richard, he's really out of control. Look at his eyes," Natasha reminded. Richard looked into his eyes and found that his originally yellow pupils had turned back to their original color, which meant that he was indeed out of control. Richard then put away his gun. "Everyone, I don't mean to discourage you, but you need to look up now." Tony's voice came from everyone's headsets. Natasha handed Barton and Richard a headset each so they could share intelligence. As everyone looked up, they saw a giant monster swimming out of the portal. This was the device used by the Chitauri Corps to transport soldiers, the Leviathan. Although it is only used to transport troops, its strong defense and unparalleled destructive power are enough to make it a powerful weapon for attacking cities and capturing strongholds. "Does anyone know where Hulk is?" "We need Hulk," Steve shouted. After a while, Dr. Banner's voice came from the headset. "Captain, I'm back." But just as Dr. Banner finished speaking, a figure appeared in the air. He was seen floating in the air and waved his hand. Suddenly, the Leviathan disappeared. Just as everyone breathed a sigh of relief, dozens of Leviathans came from the portal in the sky again, and everyone had to be on high alert. "Everyone, what should we do next?" Tony led away one of the Leviathans, but his attack method lacked penetration and he had no way of breaking through the Leviathan's shell. "Hulk, smash it," Steve said to the transformed Hulk. After hearing this, Hulk roared excitedly a few times, then jumped to the head of one of the Leviathan monsters and smashed his sandbag-sized fist, making a hole in the Leviathan monster's head. Then he punched it a few more times and knocked it down from the air. But then a large number of Chitauri soldiers appeared from the belly of the Leviathan, and the laser weapons in their hands continuously shot at Hulk. Although these laser weapons could not break the defense, it hurt. Hulk was impatient and grabbed the head of the Leviathan and lifted it up with his arms. But the Chitauri soldiers continued to shoot and didn't even dodge. In the end, they were smashed into a meat paste by Hulk using the Leviathan. Tony also thought of a way. He drilled directly into the belly of the Leviathan through its mouth and broke through from the inside, thus successfully killing one of them. Li Qingyue came to the New York Temple, where he met Ancient One who came to help him. "Master Ancient One." "Oh, why are you here?" Master Ancient One cast a spell and killed the Chitauri soldiers who came to die. "Is there nothing I can do but come and chat with you? Why don't you welcome me?" In fact, Li Qingyue also tried to kill the Chitauri soldiers, but found that his demon bloodline had no intention of evolving. He then remembered that these Chitauri soldiers were not real soldiers. They were like the characters controlled by humans in games and were not real creatures. Therefore, killing them would not increase Li Qinyue's demon bloodline. At the same time, he also remembered the content of Avengers 4 and wanted to see if there really were people coming from other parallel universes and get some commissions from them. I know what you want to do here. Please sit down. The guests are coming soon. Gu Yi put her palms together, and a large number of magic runes appeared near her palms. As she separated her hands and pointed her palms towards the sky, a barrier that ordinary people could not see suddenly appeared, and all the Chitauri soldiers who were attacking the barrier turned into sparks. Good magic. Please have some tea. Gu Yi produced a complete set of tea sets, and Li Qinyue sat down without hesitation. However, after Li Qinyue drank the tea in the cup, he suddenly felt as if he had entered a strange place, where his thoughts seemed to be infinitely stretched, and little elves with strange but not ugly looks appeared, singing around Li Qinyue. But the singing was very strange. It was clearly a song sung in his ear, but the voice was vague, which made him very uncomfortable. Just when he was about to take action, he was pulled back to the original place again, and was surprised to find that his demon bloodline had evolved again. How is it? It's not pleasant, right? It's the same for everyone who drinks this tea for the first time. Everyone sees something different, but you've seen the benefits too. Seeing this, Li Qinyue wanted to have another drink, but Gu Yi stopped him. This only works the first time you drink it. After that it's just ordinary tea. Li Qinyue was no longer so excited when he saw this, but he continued to taste the tea. After all, the tea was pretty good, at least it suited his taste. The two of them were chatting and drinking tea, and soon a bearded and slightly smaller Hulk appeared. He was Dr. Green from another parallel world, a combination of Dr. Banner and Hulk. Guests are coming. Hello, Master, we are looking for Dr. Strange. The Dr. Strange you mentioned is performing surgery in a hospital 5 blocks away from here. You came 5 years too early. Ancient One stood up and waved his monk robe, and all the tea sets disappeared. Dr. Green was stunned for a moment, but when he saw the eye of Agamotto on Ancient One's chest, he said, I came here for this. I hope you can lend it to me. Of course I have no problem lending it to you, but do you know what this is? Do you know how precious it is? If your plan fails, our universe will bear the same consequences as you, so have you thought it through? Ancient One dodged Dr. Green's hand lightly and asked him a series of questions that confused him. I. Dr. Green didn't know how to answer, but suddenly he remembered that they just wanted to use the gem to snap their fingers, so what danger could there be? Supreme Sorcerer, we just want to snap our fingers. There's no danger. We'll return the gem after the snap. Those who play with time will always be played by time. After saying this, Ancient One handed the time stone to Dr. Green directly. Just as Dr. Green wanted to leave, Li Qinyue stopped him. Dr. Green, wait a moment. I'm the owner of a law firm. I think you'll need our help later, so please accept this. If you're okay with this reward, sign and press your bloody fingerprint, and we'll come and help you through this crisis. Dr. Green looked at the parchment scroll handed to him by Li Qinyue and listened to Li Qinyue's crazy talk. Just when he was about to leave, Ancient One said, Go on. You will indeed need their help later. When Dr. Green heard what Master Ancient One said, he took it without any hesitation. After all, he already knew the identity of the Supreme Sorcerer in front of him, and he also understood how powerful Ancient One was, so he took it without any hesitation. Remember, you must sign your names and press the blood fingerprint of the person who signed it to make it effective. Li Qinyue shouted at last. Dr. Green looked back for the last time, then opened the channel to the quantum field and left. Master Ancient One, I'll take my leave now. Ancient One just smiled and said nothing. After Li Qinyue left, she looked up at Constantine, who was displaying his divine power in the air, and murmured, If you weren't a guest from another world, the position of Supreme Sorcerer would belong to you. But unfortunately, although she didn't finish her words, anyone with a discerning eye could tell what she was regretting. As most of the ordinary people were evacuated, everyone started to think of ways to close the portal. However, when they reached the roof, they used various physical and energy methods but were unable to break the portal's device. Then they learned from the controlled Dr. Eric Shavig that in order to close the portal, they must use energy of the same level, and the Mind Scepter in Loki's hand was one of them. To do this, they had to start looking for Loki, and Loki knew what they were thinking, so he simply stole a spaceship and started wandering around New York City, just to avoid being caught. Just when everyone didn't know what to do, a voice sounded in the headset. Everyone, we have found Loki's tracks. Do we need to shoot him down? Patton's voice came from everyone's headset, and Steve smiled. Shoot him down and tell me where. After getting permission, Barton shot an arrow directly at Loki, but Loki reached out and grabbed the arrow without looking back. At the same time, he slowly turned his head and showed an evil smile. But the next second, the arrow exploded. Although the shock wave of the explosion did not cause any harm to Loki, it still knocked him out of the spaceship. Everyone rushed over with vigilance, especially Hulk, who grabbed Loki's hand and started smashing things crazily. Natasha took the opportunity to pick up the Mind Scepter on the ground and threw it to Tony. Tony took it and directly closed the portal, but at this moment, Director Fury's voice sounded in their ears. Don't close it. Someone launched a nuclear bomb towards New York City. The portal cannot be closed, otherwise the bomb will not explode. Zhao, which bastard gave the order? Tony shouted angrily, because it was too late. Just when he was about to close the Rubik's Cube portal, Director Fury's voice rang out. As the Rubik's Cube portal gradually closed, a figure appeared on the path of the nuclear bomb, and he was Constantine. I still complain that I don't have enough points. Constantine smiled, and saw a portal opened in front of him, and on the other side of the portal was the closing Rubik's Cube portal. The nuclear bomb passed through the portal and went straight into the Rubik's Cube portal, flying towards Temple Number 1 over there. Accompanied by a firework display, the Chitauri army sent to invade the Earth was completely destroyed. Without their control, all the Chitauri soldiers and Leviathan monsters instantly lost their ability to move and fell from the sky. Constantine's points instantly soared to 2 million points, which was enough to exchange for a dimensional space that belonged only to him. At this point, the invasion of the Zatori soldiers came to an end. Looking at the devastated streets, everyone gathered on the roof of Stark Tower, where Loki's hands were tied behind his back and his mouth was sealed by Thor with an Asgard sealer. It was also here that Li Qingyue saw Loki for the first time. The familiar scene before him made Li Qingyue utter one word: God of Stories. God of Stories? Who is this god? Jill couldn't help but ask. He is the God of Stories. Li Qingyue and Jill hid in a corner and pointed at Loki. But isn't he Loki, the god of trickery? Jill asked puzzledly. No, he will become the God of Stories in the future, a powerful being, but also a lonely god. Li Qingyue's mind was full of Loki ascending the Golden Throne and using his own power to turn the entire multiverse into a real-world tree. However, little did they know that their whispered conversation was heard clearly by Loki. At first, he wanted to refute the God of Stories mentioned by Li Qingyue, but when he heard the word pity from Li Qingyue's mouth, he was stunned for a moment, and it was during this period of stunnedness that Li Qingyue and the others had already left. Li Qingyue took Jill to find Director Fury and handed him the parchment scroll. There was a number inside, which made Director Fury's scalp tingle. $1 billion, when will it arrive? Are you sure this number is accurate? Director Fury asked with a hint of denial. Don't forget, that nuclear bomb was sent by Constantine. You should understand what I mean. Someone will transfer the money into your account in 3 days. Director Fury said, rubbing his nose uncomfortably. Okay, don't default on your debt, otherwise I don't know what will happen. At least until now, no one has dared to default on our debt. After warning Director Fury, Li Qingyue and the others returned to the office. Everyone stretched their bodies, especially Richard. The 2,000 rounds of bullets he brought with him had long been used up. In the later period, he basically used some normal firearms. Although he could withstand the recoil, the guns were too long and not easy to hold, which made his arm muscles a little uncomfortable. However, since the commission was completed, they not only obtained a large number of points, but also received generous rewards. Everyone immediately came to the vending machine, but they all made way to let Constantine buy first. Constantine swiped to the end of the vending machine panel, looked at the dimension worth 1 million points, and directly chose to buy it. In an instant, a new dimension appeared around the Earth. As the master of this dimension, Constantine was immediately teleported into this dimensional space. What came into view was purple. In the entire dimensional space, there was no concept of time or space, only endless energy. As Constantine entered this dimensional space, his body changed and turned into an extremely huge illusion. He was wearing a purple cloak and a monk's robe dotted with purple nebulae. He looked so majestic, and this image seemed to have become his true self. The human form has become his incarnation, and now he is immortal like Dormammu. As long as the dimension exists, he cannot die completely. Constantine returned to Earth and everyone immediately surrounded him. How's it going, Constantine? Did it work? Constantine nodded, then transformed into his true form. Seeing such a majestic Constantine, everyone couldn't help but admire him. Not only that, even Ancient One appeared. Looking at the current Constantine, she also smiled. By the way, Constantine, what dimension are you in? I named it the destruction dimension because the energy in it is destructive. For example, the power of the sword of Visander we often use is like this. Constantine summoned the sword of Visander, and then slashed at the wall beside him, but only a shallow mark was left on the surface. And this is the sword of Visandi that I use to destroy dimensions. Constantine said as he conjured up a sword of Visandi made of purple energy, and slashed it lightly at the wall. Wherever it passed, the wall completely disappeared, as if it had never existed. Oh my God, is it so scary? Walter said in horror. Yes, that's why I named it the destruction dimension. That's right. By the way, Constantine, can I talk to you alone? Ancient One said at this time. Constantine nodded, and the two of them immediately passed through the portal and arrived at Kamardish. Richard also used his points to exchange for more than a dozen T-viruses, a full set of living elements, potions to increase the upper limit of magic salts, and several female T-1000s to protect Vanessa, and spent all his points in this way. Walter just exchanged for a T-virus. After all, other viruses were of little use to him and could not be studied, so he just wanted to enhance his physical strength. The same went for Jill. Connor did not exchange anything. After all, these did not increase his strength much. It would be better to kill more demons to increase his strength. Kamartaj. Constantine and Ancient One sat in the room where Ancient One was meditating, facing each other. As usual, Ancient One took out the teapot and started to make tea. Constantine, you know what I want to talk to you about. I know. You should know that it's very dangerous for ordinary magicians to use magic, because not all magicians are like me. If they borrow dimensional power, they may very likely become puppets of dimensional demons. So we basically only borrow dimensional energy from familiar dimensional demons. But they are very stingy. Once multiple people borrow energy at the same time, they will be discovered and then close the channel. We can only open the dimensional channel again secretly to borrow energy. In fact, Ancient One has already said it very well. You must know that all the magical energy of this group of magicians comes from various dimensions, and the dimensional demons are their mortal enemies, so there is an agreement among the dimensional demons, which is that they are not allowed to lend energy to this group of magicians. Since they don't lend, the magicians can only choose to steal, open a small channel, so small that the dimensional demon will not notice it, and then use this channel to use magic. However, this method will always have loopholes, that is, it will be discovered and then the channel will be closed. For this reason, Ancient One could only use tough measures and find a weaker dimensional demon. He used his powerful strength to force him to agree to open a channel for the magicians to use. This dimensional demon was the owner of the dimensional energy that magicians often borrowed. This also explains why most magicians' magic is orange. This is the origin. I know, teacher. I can let them use the energy of the dimension. As you've seen, it can destroy the power of energy, so I don't recommend using it unless it's absolutely necessary. Furthermore, my dimension is a bit peculiar in that it can't be expanded. The total amount of energy is here and won't increase. The more you use, the less it will be. Therefore, after borrowing energy, you need to find a way to replenish the energy you used. So how much dimensional energy do you have? About the energy of 10 million stars. Compared to other dimensions, it might not be much, but it's enough for us, isn't it? Is there any way to expand the dimension? Asked Ancient One. Constantine shook his head. No, teacher, you saw it too. I got this dimension from a vending machine. Unless I can buy another dimension from the vending machine and merge it together. I understand what you mean. How do you replenish your dimensional energy? Well, it's very simple. Just the corpses of the creatures will do. Just throw them into the destruction dimension. In that case, let's sign the contract. Gu Yi said with a smile. Constantine nodded, and soon the Ancient One found the 3 sanctuaries, and all the mages except those stationed gathered in Kamardish. After seeing everyone was present, Ancient One began to explain the reason why he asked them to come here, and at the same time produced a large number of contracts. Under the leadership of Ancient One, everyone began to sign the contracts, and one channel after another was opened. As the master of the destructible dimension, Constantine could clearly feel the loss of energy, although the feeling was minimal. After signing the contract, some wizards began to experiment with this so-called destructive energy. As a result, when they saw that the originally ordinary magic used destructive energy as a source, the power directly increased, and even had the effect of erasing. This also made them realize the horror of this destructive energy. I think you've all seen the terrifying power of destructive energy, so don't use it unless absolutely necessary. Also, remember, for every amount of destructive energy you use, you'll need to provide an equivalent amount of biological corpses. Simply drop them into the destructive dimension. After hearing this, everyone nodded in agreement. After all, compared to the demons in other dimensions, these conditions were like free gifts. Teacher, I'll be leaving first. Well, go ahead. Constantine returned to the office, said hello to Li Qingyue and Jill, and went back to his room. Connor, if there is any exorcism commission in the future, you can take it yourself. I think Constantine should take a break for a while recently. Li Qingyue said. Connor, who was cooking, nodded after hearing this. How do you know Constantine will rest? He has a lazy personality. If it weren't for exchanging dimensions, he wouldn't be so diligent. Li Qingyue said while lying on Jill's thighs. Jill slapped his head in annoyance and said, Don't move, or I won't help you clean your ears. After hearing this, Li Qingyue could only lie down obediently, feeling Jill's body temperature, and gradually fell asleep. On the other side, Walter returned to his laboratory and looked at the kittens all over the floor. He picked up a British Shorthair and weighed its chubby little belly. The soft touch made Walter addicted to it, until the British Shorthair couldn't stand it anymore and bit Walter directly, then escaped from his hand. Hey, kid, do you still want to eat blood orchids? Hearing the word blood orchid, all the kittens gathered together and stared at Walter with their big tearful eyes. Walter looked at them and then said, It's not a problem to feed you, but you have to know the rules. After hearing this, the kittens ran to another corner, as if discussing something. Finally, they came to Walter's feet. After all, they could not be truly immune to the temptation brought by the blood orchid. Walter brought them to the rooftop, which he had developed into a breeding base. Blood orchids were planted there, and the flowers were picked, and each kitten could get one. At this time, Walter noticed a little orange cat. It was just 1 month old and the smallest one in the cat group. The kittens would usually take care of it, and it was like a group pet. But now faced with the temptation of the blood orchid, they no longer cared about the little orange cat. Seeing this, Walter took the flower in his hand, then picked up the little orange cat and tore the blood orchid into pieces to feed it. After all the cats had finished eating, Walter brought them back to the laboratory and drew their blood to see what changes the blood orchid had on them. As soon as Connor came in, he saw the cats looking at him with grievance. Walter, are you drawing their blood again? Oh, you dare to tell tales? Don't forget, you ate my blood orchid. This is an equal transaction. How dare you tell tales? Believe it or not, I won't give you any more blood orchids in the future. This scared the cats so much that they all ran to please Walter. Seeing this, Connor could only shake his head helplessly.